Oh yeah. Oh, very Nirvana guitars.
Yeah.
Feels like I can see that guy playing. It's like a Kubrick movie or something.
Like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost want to fall asleep, you know?
I know. It's like a lullaby in a
Yeah.
sense. El sonidito.
Today we have Black Country New Roads for the first time. Basically, they're this new indie band from England who just kind of came out of nowhere during the pandemic. And there's like 7 members. They have like 4 regular band members. They also have like 4 instrumentalists, but they're like saxophone and synth and piano and a violin. And so this image right here on this album cover is actually just a stock photo.
So they just found something that was interesting and they just kind of used that.
Yeah, very simplistic and copy that almost corporate look, but it's interesting because the music is like complete opposite of that.
Yeah. And is all this track list in the back? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs.
Yep, that's it.
That's cool.
And this record in particular is a deluxe version. That's why it has a negative photo.
Oh, okay.
It's got
A little bit of everything.
It's got a bunch more stuff. Is
this actually them or is that more stock photo here?
I'm pretty sure this is a stock photo.
That's interesting.
This looks like a soccer team.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're on the field or something.
Yeah.
That's cool. Ooh, look at this. That is so nice.
Yes, sir.
It's white. The white album.
Yeah.
So what are we listening to first? Okay.
Track 1.
What's it called?
Instrumental.
It's like a drum feature kind of thing.
Yeah.
At the
Drum
top.
solo.
Yeah. That's cool. Little synthy.
Yeah.
Very Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
System of the Down vibes.
A little bit, yeah.
With the drum beats and stuff.
Like the song Toxicity.
Huh?
You know that song Toxicity?
Yeah.
System of Down? Like
Yeah. Some saxophones. That's cool. It sounds like they're playing in a room together.
Yeah. It does sound like that.
It's got that vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
El sonidito.
Like The Incredibles. Reminds me of The Incredibles.
Also John Zorn. John Zorn kind of thing.
Saxophone guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like rock and roll.
With the jazz kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah. That was fun.
So what do you think?
One thing I was thinking throughout just even the songs, like Black Country New Road does not sound like what I just listened to at all.
What do you mean? What you just listened to?
Just the name of the band doesn't match the sound that I just heard at all. Like
what is
Black Country New Road, it sounds like a Nashville kind of vibe, you know, like everything's like pristine and super poppy country songs, right? Like, and then
I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's like an avant-garde presentation of rock and jazz and classical and this particular tune though, it was like very Middle Eastern. It gave me like
it reminds me of like Jewish music almost, like the dance music.
Like yeah, it's got that vibe too. Like it was a saxophone instead of clarinet, but it was fun. And then just there's like this repetitive thing that goes on that's fun to listen to. But you know, you're like, okay, are they moving on? Are they doing something? Are they adding? And they just add and add and add and add, which is cool. And then like the end of it is like this big rock thing, not in a like in a metal thing or like guitar thing, and like the energy. Yeah. You know.
And it reminds me of like a soundtrack almost.
A little bit.
Like a Mission Impossible maybe type thing, you know, with like the rock elements as well as like the epic like orchestral or, you know, like those other instruments that they use with jazz and such or whatever. Yeah.
It's fun just to hear something that at least in these times you wouldn't think it was happening, you know. A totally instrumental song, which is cool. And then just like the vibes, it's like vibes for days. Yeah. But the cool element is like it sounds like they're playing together in a room. It doesn't sound like everybody recorded at different times just because of the how it's like journeying through like the buildup of the different instrumentation, and then blowing up to this big thing. It feels like you can only accomplish it by you're looking at each other playing.
Yeah, it definitely feels like.
It feels like, okay, here we go. Like, and it just gets more exciting. It's just fun. That was fun tune.
Yeah.
Instrumental. It was an instrumental song.
Simple.
Yeah.
Short. It's actually pretty long, 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't feel it.
No, it didn't. I actually thought it was a lot shorter than that. Because it's an intro track, too.
That's interesting, yeah.
That's cool. I never noticed that either. But before we head into the next track, for context, the lead singer, I think his name is Isaac, recently quit the band on terms of like needing to fix his mental health or something like that.
Yeah.
Because, well, you'll see how his lyrics are,
Okay.
I think that plays a part in that as well. This band has released 2 albums with the lead singer, and right after that, he quit the band basically. But they're still doing stuff. Like, for context, for the viewers, we went and actually saw Black Midi as well as them opening, and they didn't have the lead singer, and they played completely different music.
Okay.
So this is something that happened like they've been changing like ever since they started. It's all been evolving into different things and such, and this is kind of a whole like different like look at the band in this era.
Okay.
And this is
That's
like
cool.
I guess like the stripped down version of what this band does, I guess. But yeah, track 2, Athens, France. I really like this track. I really like a lot of these tracks, but I like this one.
Oh, very Nirvana guitars.
Yeah, the chorus pedal's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Very interesting voice.
Yeah, big, deep British voice.
Nice.
Soundtrack kind of build-up thing.
Yeah. Super dreamy.
Yeah. Major 7 and 9 chords,
Yeah. Gives me very 80s vibes.
Yeah?
We'll discuss a little bit later when it's done, but...
Just with no synths?
No synths, just like ethereal guitar kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This reminds me of an artist back in the early 80s. He had a band called Bauhaus.
Okay.
This is kind of a emo, dark band back in the day.
That's cool.
Sounds like a musical.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Dramatic,
Very dramatic, yeah. Presentation of the vocal.
Yeah.
Athens, France. That's cool.
Yeah.
It felt dark, man. Like, it's just interesting to, like, there's some cool elements, like the guitars that had like kind of like a Nirvana chorus sounding thing, but then like when like his vocal presentation reminded me like of that old band Bauhaus. The singer's name is Peter Murphy, if you guys are interested. But then at the same time, like very theatrical, not in a like or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But just like the presentation, like very like straightforward in how he's presenting his lyric writing, and then the talking, and then just very little singing, but more of like a presentation of something. Like almost like it could be like a poem, but it almost could be like an essay, and then present like
a little bit,
like presenting an idea.
Telling a story as well. I think that's another thing that they do a lot.
Yeah, they do definitely take you on a journey musically, for sure.
I love that part.
Yeah, it's like
it's super musically oriented.
And it's simple. And it's not like all these chops or like all these fast things or anything. Like it's just simple, like arranging, but they're like that they know what they're doing, kind of thing. Like as far as the musicians wise. Yeah. And which is cool. Not that the other bands don't know. I'm just saying, I can hear like, oh, they've studied music. Yeah. As going to school and study other musicians and what they do and kind of stuff. As far as like the arranging, the saxophone and guitar, like inner melodies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, like there's also, as far as the voice, like there's like a fragility to that guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is really interesting. Like you mentioned earlier, like him dealing with like mental illness and stuff. There's something about like pouring that guy like himself out and that the moments or whatever.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just super interesting. It just reminds me of other things that we'll be checking out soon.
Yeah.
And it's totally different from first song to the second song. Totally different worlds.
Yeah.
Like the first one was super fun, like super energetic, very like defined as a Middle Eastern thing. This one's more like a somber thing.
And I also wanted to bring up the lyrics because it's so fascinating to me how this guy writes lyrics.
Okay.
It's almost like a whole like mix of like drama, like for the stage, with like the darkness and like violence of like Edgar Allan Poe type thing.
Okay.
But he also is like the Gen Z version of this, or like millennial version of this. He brings up a bunch of like references to like modern day. Like he's telling you about his life, but he's like hyperbolizing it in this like super dramatic way, and I think it works perfectly with the music.
Like what's one of the most the more compelling lines of this song?
It's a great wide gulf between intentions and what ground met me. I check my phone and make the sound, like theme from failure performed for just you, like the new road built out of black country ground. It reads like an Edgar Allan Poe poem, but it's like gravitas, elegance almost, but also has like those like references to like nowadays. Like I have learned so little from all I lost in 2018. I think she's still waiting there for us somewhere underneath what we built to keep the waters clean. It's a bunch of like esoteric references mixed with like real life happenings. But yeah. Next track?
Next track, what's that?
All right, track 3, Science Fair.
Science Fair.
So this track in particular, I remember reading an interview from them like really early on when they released it as a single. This is when I discovered them. Okay. And they said that this is their least favorite song ever that they ever recorded.
And they just put it out anyways.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. Like sometimes we tend to over analyze, over produce, over write, over whatever the art form that you're putting out, and it never gets put out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, and being like courageous to say, okay, not that this is not my best work. It's more like, man, like this is the thing I created, and I enjoyed the process and I enjoyed doing it, and I don't know if it's going to connect with people, or I don't know if it's if it's worth anything, but to me it is, because it came from something within me to put out there, even if it's not my favorite of the works I've done or whatever. It still still has value, because anyways.
Yeah, I think one of the points that they would like bring up is like the musicians, especially of the band, are very pop oriented. Actually, they love pop music,
like pop, like Britney Spears pop, or
like actual pop music.
Okay,
it's very interesting, and I think this track is like the total antithesis, and I think that's why they were like, "Ew, what did we make here?" That's kind of what that's what I got from
Interesting.
It. But you have good points as well. Like that's also a thing, because like this band, for even more context, they were formed out of a breakup of a different band.
Okay,
and this kind of record was built on that kind of Australian. No, this album was built off of the angst and fear and anger from the breakup. In the sadness. They were just kind of getting it out of their system. I think that's what it feels like. But yeah,
interesting.
More context.
Yeah.
Track 3, Science Fair.
I guess I could have done without the guitar.
Super loud, yeah.
Yeah. The music's basically a soundtrack for his poems.
Yeah, basically. This one especially, just a solid beat and that's it.
Yeah, like there's things there, but it's like a Kubrick movie or something.
What?
A Kubrick movie?
Yeah. Like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's interesting. Like I hear it and it's like all these visuals are coming up.
Yeah.
Man, that song is a movie.
Yeah.
Just the one song.
Yeah.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, you mentioned Kubrick movie, and yeah, totally, it could be like the soundtrack to Clockwork Orange.
Mm-hmm. It's like a fiction, but not like a science fiction. Even though what's it called?
It's called Science Fair.
Science Fair, but not like a science fiction, like a modern thing, but it's more like a
dystopia.
No, I'm thinking like very experimental science fiction movie. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just like all these elements. There's some themes through it, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that guy's voice is so compelling.
Yeah, he's not even singing most of the time.
No,
it's just his gravitas. I love
just
it.
the way he is delivering those lyrics.
Yeah,
are pretty dense. Like they're really like the music is like a bed for his performance. It seems like you would go to a theater to see it.
Yeah. You know, when you mentioned that, it reminded me of like Greek theater, where like you would have like the actors like performing the play, but in the background you have the Greek chorus, where they would either play music or they would comment on it, they're narrating or whatever.
Interesting.
That's kind of what it reminded me of, because they're a part of the story and the experience, and they elevate the experience, but they're not directly like connected, I guess. But they're definitely like
it's
like
part of the whole play.
Yeah, I really like that. That's
that's so interesting. It's definitely not something that we listen to in the States.
No, not
like
at all.
Not at all. Like there's pockets for sure, but as far as like in the general public, this is not something that we would go and listen to. It's very much like this is theater, and this is music with theater. That's what it felt like. It's really good in that sense. You know, like it enthralls you to a world. Yeah. Which is really cool. It's not just like, oh, that was an awesome chorus or that was an awesome bridge. No, not at all.
It's just like
it's theater.
It's like it's a journey. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's music and art, or art music.
That's what I love about this band so much.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So cool. And the music video for it is so good. It's so well done. It's one of my favorite music videos I've ever seen.
Is it film-like or what?
Not at all. That's the thing. It's all like stock footage and home video. Okay. But the editing, it's so good. Like they build tension and like gravitas and like fear with like videos of driving through like a forest, and that's it. In the day, you know, or this guy at a basketball court shooting hoops. It's so like crazy what they did with that video to me. That's what really roped me in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that's it. Man, again, like being able to encompass the whole thing, music, performance, art, design, all of it, like film. It's so cool to have, to see that, like a whole vision. Yeah. Of what? I mean, just one song, I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, this is a movie. Like, that, I don't know how long that was, but that definitely felt a lot longer, but in a good way. Like,
it was 6.5 minutes, pretty much.
Yeah. Like, the other ones, it went super fast. It was so fun. And, like, when you watch a movie that's super funny or... Yeah. I mean, usually funny movies are not long, but if you watch, like, an action flick that just never stops, that was the first song. This one is like that one that just pulls you in slowly and it just takes you on a journey. And
huge epic, yeah. I totally agree.
It's interesting. I mean, the production, I don't think the production is their thing. It's like
it's very indie,
very indie, very like raw, and which is cool.
I think it even helps a little bit because they had to pull it out of themselves, the like scale, of music, like what I notice is that it takes a lot from like soundtracks, I guess, or very musical like passages, and they use their instruments in a way that it's like it builds up so well and so smoothly that it feels just like soundtrack would on a movie, or like a really like intense or big scene would, you know.
Mm-hmm. It evokes a feeling of this is an art piece.
Yeah.
This is not just a musical thing. It's like an art piece. Anyways, that was cool. Man, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next thing we're listening?
All right, yeah. Track 4 is Sunglasses.
Sunglasses.
This is the first single they released.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna just play it because this is a re-recorded version, I think.
Okay.
The original is different and it's less production or whatever, but yeah. I'm gonna just play it so that we, you know.
Yeah.
Track 4, Sunglasses.
Definitely, man. Like that whole movie theme keeps reoccurring. It feels to me.
Yeah, very nostalgic. Yeah.
Sounds like they listen to Nirvana a bunch.
Yeah, it does.
At least a guitar player.
One other influence that they note in the lyrics is Slint. Have you heard of Slint?
No.
It's a band from the 90s, I think. Yeah. But they do a lot of the same things, like the sort of poem over the song.
Yeah.
But this Slint does not have the 7 players. It's really raw. What I've listened to, at least.
Yeah.
But a lot of influence from there.
Yeah. This guitar sound really good. I like that.
I know, me too. I like him too.
It feels like I can see the guy playing.
Yeah, I think this is the post-punk sound I think people are talking about.
Okay. Danny Elfman all over that, sounds like.
Huh?
Danny Elfman?
Yeah, a little bit.
Nice. What was the name of that song?
That was Sunglasses.
Sunglasses. Yeah. I mean, songs they feel dense, man.
Yeah.
Like there's so much intentionality in how they're putting things together. I mean, from my point of view, they might have just jammed stuff out, but it just feels like they live in an overcast place.
It's called England.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's always overcast.
It's always overcast. It just feels like that. Like it feels like you're walking in a cave in a sense. Like,
yeah.
You know, like I don't know. We live out in the desert and it's sunny like 379,000 days a year. Anyway,
a week.
Hours, minutes. Anyways,
yeah.
But yeah, it's just it evokes a very different feeling. The Beatles are from England, right?
Yeah, Liverpool.
But I'm just rhetorically questioning like,
yeah,
how do those guys come up with like super positive in a sense sounding songs, and then there's something like this that is like the total opposite of what a Beatles tune is. Like
the thing is, it's like they still like take the principles of like the musical language that the Beatles like used a lot with rock and roll, and you know how they used a lot of orchestral elements like with George Martin. Yeah. And they kind of flip it around and make it like such a mood of like darkness and angst and such.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like the cool thing for me is that it sounds young, right? Like it's young people playing, and because of the angst, but at the same time like very sophisticated.
Yeah.
Like language, they bring a sophisticated element to like that thing. For me, I like that. There's an elegance to the presentation of the art.
Yeah, it has to be classy. Yeah.
Very classy, but at the same time, there's like these guitars. They're not distorted at all, but they just feel like they're heavier than the thing.
Like the amplifiers are hot, cranked to 11.
That's what it sounds like. Like there's this part that the guitar was like dang, dang, dang. I almost saw the guy playing it as hard as he could.
Yeah.
Really digging into it, and I'm like, whoa, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, great guitar sounds. I really like
but I think it's just how the intentional the playing is. There's so many elements to that track that I'm like I almost forget where we started and then where it ended.
Yeah, it totally switches up, but like it feels like it doesn't feel wrong or abrupt, or it's supposed to feel abrupt, but it doesn't feel like it's like you're in the wrong hands or anything.
That's why it feels like a soundtrack.
Yeah,
in a sense,
because it's taking you on a journey, even if the place you're going is bad, you know.
And I think that's why we started this channel, like to really sit down and just listen again to the to records and it became kind of a lost art while we were trying to figure out.
Oh yeah.
What the music industry was going to do and all that kind of stuff. Just to sit down and listen and with intention. And I don't know. It's been a long time for me to actually, I listen to music very differently nowadays than when I was your age. And it's a good reminder to like, man, let's get back to that place of just listening to music for the joy of it. Wherever it takes you, you're not talking about genres. It's more like wherever that feeling that they're trying to evoke, if that takes you someplace, we might totally miss the mark on what their intention was.
Yeah.
But it's cool to, like to just keep your ears open to listen to the different things that are out there. Anyways.
Yeah, totally. Like I also wanted to say, I think it's interesting you brought up the Beatles thing and how like, Paul McCartney's songs were always happy and like up and like Penny Lane, for instance, But I think they had a similar angst in a lot of songs, especially with like John Lennon's songs.
Yeah.
I'd bring up Help.
Yeah.
Like all the lyrics.
Oh, for sure.
Very similar kind of style,
Yeah.
It's just that the music behind it is.
I think that's how they were able to communicate
Mm-hmm.
without offending, in a sense.
Yeah, basically. But also, it's because there was no such thing as punk. There was no. It was nothing like that yet. Led Zeppelin was barely starting out when it was like last 2 years of the Beatles or whatever.
Yeah.
But
it was definitely a different time.
Like the Beatles were offensive too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The
for a
Beatles
ton of people.
Bigger than Jesus.
Oh yeah, remember that that statement is crazy.
Yeah.
That he had to go back a gazillion times and was like, no, I didn't say that.
First guy to get canceled.
Yeah. John Lennon, the first canceled guy. But it's such an interesting thing.
Jesus was the first guy to get canceled.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
No, that's different. That's
a different thing. Anyway, that was so interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I also wanted to mention like their second album is so Paul McCartney, Penny Lane. It's so bright and chipper for a lot of the time, but it has a lot of like the somber elements that came from this. But yeah, we'll do that next time. We'll do that another time.
Another time.
Next. What's next? Track 5, track X. That's the name of the track.
X.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is 90s vibe right here.
Yeah. Shortest track, by the way, 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Yeah. Man, his vocal is awesome.
It works so well on this track, especially. I really like it.
Finally, some violins coming through.
What?
That I can listen to. There's some violins.
Yeah. They're kind of buried in the mix before. I almost want to fall asleep,
I know. It's like a lullaby in a sense.
That was track X. What'd you think?
Man, I'm gonna say this. I'm falling in love with that guy's voice. Like,
yeah,
it's just so compelling, his performance, and also, I mean, he's definitely like has this deep, voice and stuff, and I think just that element like brings you in.
I'm jealous.
I know, me too, man. It's just something that I've always like. There's these bands. Well, one band in particular from the 80s and 90s, Depeche Mode. The singer has this really deep voice, and his presentation is really, really cool. And I was like, man, like I'm never gonna have that type of voice. Like I was just jealous of not being able to get to that deepness when singing or whatever.
Yeah, the wideness. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the record right there, right in the middle.
That's one of the big records. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, his voice, man, just like it's so compelling. Like it brings you into the performance. This is the first track that doesn't have any drums, which was cool.
Yeah, and it even has the first female voice.
Has a female voice, and as far as like just bringing this element, that it was nice. I felt like this is the lightest track as far as it doesn't feel somber, it doesn't feel dark, it just feels like
nostalgic and calming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has a lullaby element to it. That was really, really, really nice.
Yeah, I would put my kids to sleep with this,
Yeah. And, that's one of the things I was going to ask. I'm like, man, how... I just can't seem to... I would not think I could listen to this all the time because it's just so
heavy,
dense.
A lot of elements, and it's pretty long songs too.
Yeah, long songs. Like it's super dense. Like I'm just gonna go back to that guy's vocals. It's not about like the ability, not about like his range or none of that. It's just the performance, and I think it has to do with also like the lyric that he's bringing together.
Yeah, definitely.
But just being able to, if he brings you in just with one or two words, you're like, oh, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
what did I miss here?
It's like, where is he where is that coming from? Like, you wanna know the whole story, kind of thing.
Yeah, like the first lyric is "You've got great hips."
So it's just like
it's strange, but it's like, wait, where is he going with this?
It's like it's like, it's a romantic encounter or what is it? You know, like
I don't even know actually. It's a depiction of something. It's a very big like Polaroid image of something. Basically, I feel like.
But I don't know. It's just an interesting. And then also the track that I could hear some of the strings like violin, viola, or whatever they're using. Yeah. And then also some synth stuff, which I don't think they really did a lot of synth on the other tunes either.
They did. It was just like it was either buried in the mix or it was like very like complementing the guitar or something.
Yeah, more like that. And this one you can actually hear like
actually like the sound effects were the synth as well, like the wind noises and stuff like that. That's
that was cool. I really like that track. It just felt
the most popular track too.
Is it? Yeah, maybe those elements. I don't know.
Most pop
song, I think.
Yeah, shortest song too.
See?
Yeah, it's always gonna win out at the end of the day. Yeah. That's what the Beatles did, you know.
I know, those guys are crazy.
2 minutes max.
I know, right? What's the? Are we on the last track?
Yes, next track, track 6.
Okay.
Last track, Opus. I think this is a very underrated track. I really like this track.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about what the elements are that really compelled you.
They're gonna bring it back round, all right? Opus.
Oh, this is a perfect segue to the next record.
Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see.
Sneak peek behind just Easter eggs.
Oh, yeah. I like this. Haha. I definitely not expect that drum beat come in there.
What?
I didn't expect that drum beat.
No, I know. It switches up.
Yeah. Yeah. This is very Oingo Boingo.
Yeah. Like that like Jewish jumpy music, you know. That contrast is so cool.
Big contrast. They have to be playing this live for sure.
Yeah.
In the same room.
Chills.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm a little bit late.
You can hear every little thing in his voice, in his mouth.
Melody's very like smooth and
yeah, it's like a tango almost.
What's up?
Like a tango?
Well, it could be. Yeah. It's just the guitars are so opposite from the melody.
Yeah.
But they work so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opus.
Great song.
Yeah.
Just there's so many elements in there. Those guitars reminded me so much of who?
What, Buckley?
Buckley, man.
Yeah.
Jeff Buckley is like all over that guitar playing right there. And not throughout the whole song, but those intros and outros and stuff. But I, like in my head, I was trying to remember what song starts like that.
So Real. Yeah, that's a song that sounds exactly like.
Yep, but in the 90s. So it's like they're so apart. It's almost like what year is this record made?
2021.
2021.
Yeah.
And the other record was 1994.
Yeah. That's 30 years apart?
Pretty much.
30 years. Yeah.
that's pretty awesome to listen to something and it just brings you to a place when I was a little younger than you, but teenage years, it's like, that's pretty cool to see those things come. Like, this is what you're listening to, and this is what I listened to back in the day.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's all these connection points, which is super fun. Black Country New Road.
Mm-hmm.
Such an interesting name. Like, it means so different. This means something totally different in the UK than it does here, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like,
I think it's a reference. I have no idea. This is a wild shot in the dark, but it feels like a reference to America in some way, or American culture. Like, country music comes from America.
Yeah.
Black country, I don't know. I have no clue what it means, but it's like, I don't know. It feels American almost.
Yeah.
Not even just like in that country, like.
No, just.
But like American in itself, I guess.
There's actually a band called Black Country. It's kind of like a Zeppelin thing. I can't remember, but I've listened to it. It's a very similar name. Totally opposite.
Yeah.
Not like, they don't sound anything like it. Those are more of like a rock and roll band. Okay. This is Black Country Road for the first time.
Yeah.
Man, it was a very compelling record. Of course, just like anything, if you listen to a thing for the first time, there's things that you're like, I could do without this or do without that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, just being totally open to listening to the elements that they're bringing forth, it's super compelling. The way that they decided to make this thing a band and put out material and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these are the tracks.
Oh, nice.
And just some artwork. That's cool.
And you can actually read them, huh?
Yeah. Hey, this is my kind of font size. Yeah. Everybody, if you make records, make this big.
I'll make them, when I make a record, I'm going to have them like a ransom note. It's going to be like, you can't read it, but it's big.
Yeah. Instrumental. This is the best one, guys. It's a blank page. That's cool.
It's a coloring book. You got to draw in it.
Oh, there you go. Whatever you thought. Ninja Tune. What is that?
That's the label.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, made in EU. Ninjatune.net. The artwork has its things, which, like you said, it's like all these random pictures or whatever.
Yeah, stock images.
Yeah.
That was their aesthetic for that time period.
Mm-hmm. Nothing very compelling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like it's youth.
The culture.
Yeah, it's like that whole thing.
To me, it's like kind of like a reflection of that youth culture or whatever. Like everything is that like pristine and like nice.
Yeah.
But it's like fake, like stock images are all like really like produced
stuff. Yeah, definitely. It gives me a vibe of like the skater movement in the 90s too.
Totally. But it's like a goody two shoes version of it to me. Like it has that like adventurous like getting at your mom's house kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But also like with the presentation it feels like a PowerPoint almost,
Okay.
That's just how I feel.
That's interesting. Even they have at the front like photo from Unsplash by Asaf, whatever. At Asaf Fryov, maybe.
Let me see.
Any, yeah. But that's cool. Like they're just, they're like
they're just crediting
the whoever made those pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we could transition to like seeing them live.
Yeah. That was an experience for sure.
And it could be a totally new episode, but at the same time, I think it's relevant to just looking at the story a little bit of where they were in this period, and then when we saw them last year. I've never actually listened to the records, and I show up to this place, in LA. What was the place called? The Wiltern?
I think so. I don't remember exactly, but it sounds right.
It's the first time we've been to this venue, and it was just like it's in the middle of Koreatown. Beautiful theater. If you ever get an opportunity to go to a show, it's just the architecture is Art Deco from from the golden era of cinematography, Hollywood, and it was just awesome to see the work that they've preserved for all those years, and having like a rock band be at that place and stuff like that. I can't imagine what kind of shows were back in the day.
Yeah,
there.
Like the band we went to see was Black Midi, but Black Country New Road was opening for them, and Black Midi was like, they took full advantage of the theater. It was so cool. It was just like 4 guys on this like fairly big stage,
It's a big stage,
but it was like so rock and roll, It brings it back,
Yeah, like if you criticize the show or whatever, I would have spent some money on theatrics.
You know what? I've seen videos of some of their live stuff, and they have like projections behind them or like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That was not the case at the show we went to.
No, it was actually super simple.
Yeah, it was just them with lights.
Yeah, it was really, really simple.
I think that they do theatrics, but it was just not that show for some reason, unfortunately.
It's probably because it was here in the States and nobody wanted to pay for them. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's expensive, man, to make a show, to bring all the elements you would love to bring. There was how many people there? There was a piano and then violin.
Oh, for Black Country New Road, yeah. There's 2 guitarists, a bassist, a piano.
Was it 2 guitarists?
Yeah. Oh, no, no the other
player.
guitarist was the lead singer who left.
Yeah.
But it was a guitarist, bassist, drums, saxophone, violin, and piano.
So it was 6-piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the least, I don't know if there was any other guitarists. I
don't think so. I think it was just six piece. But I love the show. Like just the way they brought music and how the arranging and all that stuff. The thing, like I said, if there's anything to criticize for me was the audio was not great.
Oh yeah.
For Black Country New Road, I don't know who the engineer. I'm sorry, but it was just it was not. It
was unfortunate.
It was unfortunate that
you could barely hear the drums.
The drums were a little hidden, and it's hard, man. Like to capture a band like this is like almost capturing a jazz band.
Yeah.
That has all these elements of in and out and a lot of textures and really, all those elements to be able to be, unless you know their music, and I don't know if that was the case, or know like the show and all that stuff, that you get the best elements out of them as a sound engineer.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just unfortunate that you really had to pay attention to what was happening to enjoy it. But yeah, they were so good. And then, well, unfortunately, the singer for this album wasn't there.
No, yeah. And the thing is, they had just released that new record, their second record.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, a month after, the lead singer announced, like, on Instagram that they weren't a part of the band anymore, or the band announced it or whatever. And it was really unfortunate. But in that small time period of, like, 3 months, maybe, between when the record released or when did we go to see them again?
It was in the fall.
In the fall. So they released the album in June.
2-3 months later is when we saw them.
3 months later, a whole new show with new music, and the music is amazing.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I wish I could have listened to that.
Yeah.
In a record before I went.
I couldn't even have done that. They didn't have that.
But everybody was singing. I think the only person that didn't sing was a guitar player and the drummer.
Yeah. No, the drummer did too, I think, at some point.
Maybe?
I think at some point they actually went to the front of the stage and they all sat in a kindergarten circle, crisscross applesauce. Yeah. That was so fun. I really loved that.
Yeah. But, man, those singers, there's 3 female singers and musicians that were amazing.
Yeah, like
piano, violin, and bass player.
Yeah, like during this era, they were mostly hidden, Like they only kind of stayed to their parts. But then when we saw them live, they really brought out their personality.
Oh, man.
Through musicians.
It was so good.
They had good singers too and all.
Yeah, and they could all harmonize. And the saxophone player was funny. He was all dressed like an American baseball fan.
He brought
like
the LA. He brought the LA hat, right?
Yeah. It was like a
the Dodgers hat.
He dressed up as a.
He had the shorts with the long socks too.
Yeah.
That was funny. He's a tall dude too. So
he's a super tall guy. Yeah. But it was a great representation of the music.
Mm-hmm.
But now listening to this album, I just can't imagine what it would have been with this guy's vocal there too.
Yeah, they had one show when this album toured in LA in a small like club or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I regret going because they were still like a shy band,
Mm-hmm.
That's what it seemed like to me from what I've seen like from the videos.
Yeah.
But like as this album kind of got bigger and bigger, they started playing theaters and stuff, and then they had this whole like production happen where they played at this theater. It was like the Queen's Theatre or whatever, something like that in England, where like there was videos playing like not even behind them, but like on the sides, and it was like giant eyeballs and stuff, like the stock footage stuff, but it was used super well. It looked super cool, and I think that's the aesthetic of this album, like that.
Oh, okay.
Sort of like paranoia, but like it's super clean, but it's like weird, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so if anybody gets the opportunity to go watch them,
you England people are lucky.
Yeah, to have them. But anybody, like, go see them. Like, they're really good.
Yeah.
I haven't been impressed from a band for a long time. Honestly, like, there hasn't been bands that I'm like, oh my goodness, they're doing something that is really compelling or something that's super fun or cool. Like, and it's like a lot of the same things.
Even like older bands now have kind of like gone down in.
It's just it's quality. A different time, man. Like it's a different time and a different way of consuming music and going back. That's why we're doing this. Like, not that we want to just say, oh, back in the day it was better or whatever. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, back in the day, you would sit and listen to a record over and over and over and over to hear layers. It was a different way of consuming music in a different.
You fall in love with the record.
Yeah, you would actually give it the time to understand what's happening. And now it seems like everything's like
a commodity.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we just want to make it the biggest hit and then just make the most money and I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, even development of artists, that's not a thing anymore. Like, really seeing somebody like, oh man, these guys have potential and let's help them out or whatever.
Yeah, it's like how many Instagram followers you have,
And it's, it's a different business model and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. I'm just thinking like the music aspect and the like really the development. Like, that's what I love about something like this. That this is now.
It's really cutting through to like.
That's cool.
Almost mainstream. They're a really popular indie band.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I really love that.
So, and that's why we have to support them. Like, go out and watch the shows. Like,
buy the records.
The records. We'll probably do another listen through a band that I just discovered somehow from New York that I was like, oh my goodness, we gotta do it. Anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is stuff out there, and if you guys know of stuff that we definitely need to listen to, let us know.
We're talking about rock and roll music right now a lot because that's what we're familiar with and all that. But there's a whole world of like hip hop and pop that we're not as familiar with at all. I'm sort of familiar with some of it, but I don't know what's good, basically.
Yeah. And it's just, and that's the thing, like, if something compels you that to a point of listen to it over and over and over, I think that's worth it. Whatever the genre is, it's not about the genre. It's about like an artist really putting art out there and fulfilling that space for people that like to listen to that way.
Yeah, like I remember, I don't know how long ago it was, but Olivia Rodrigo, that she released that one album that like exploded or whatever, and I listened to it because like, oh, I'm just curious because it doesn't look like it is a commercial pop album, but it doesn't seem like it's like ultra like sanitized, kind of like washed out or like just trying to be trendy or whatever. Yeah, it was kind of more like setting a trend more than that, but especially because also there was rock elements in that record. But I listened to it and I'm like, this is a record that a little girl could like fall in love with, and I was like, man, I don't think a lot of people are though. That was like the unfortunate truth for me. But I don't know if people are. I know people, like when Billie Eilish came out, people really loved that record, and that's something that I was like interested in. And I'm not a huge fan of Billie Eilish, but I really like that aspect. How people would really fall in love with like the record and the music itself.
I think there's a few artists that we definitely need to look into that I've never listened to, like Frank Ocean and
me too. I've
some
not
of those records.
Frank Ocean yet.
Yeah, that are now, and they're really putting in the time to make an impact. And I don't think they're purposely doing it. It's just they care about the art so much that things like that happen.
Yeah, like Frank Ocean hasn't released an album in like 8 years.
Yeah,
because he actually cares about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It happened in the 90s with D'Angelo.
Right, yeah.
Yep. So there's so many records that we want to really sit down and just kind of enjoy and talk about and see what the journey was as much as we can. And but yeah, anything else? I think the show was awesome.
Yeah.
So if you guys, we're gonna plug bands that we're like thinking that are doing things now that deserve, like this band for sure. Black Country New Road.
It's hard to have a 7-member band, so
and that's like more props to you, because
of course that's tough.
That's a tough thing, man. Like, I've always been a part of small bands because it's a tough thing to do, to have a big band.
Yeah, my band has 2 members.
Yeah, so
me included.
Yeah, 2. But you guys are killing it.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, this is Disco Volante. We talk music.
Yes, sir. Please subscribe and look for the Patreon, and if you want to support us, give us money. Simple as that.
Yeah. We really want to just continue to do this.
You don't have to. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Thank you guys. We love you. Till the next record.